Couple number one, Sharon and Lloyd, you're our grand prize winners. You've just won a brand new house.
A brand new house.
Yeah, that's the answer to your problems right there, Kenan. You want your own place? All you gotta do is find a woman, get her to marry you, go on that show, and win a house.
That's a great idea.
I was just joking.
I mean, seriously, that is a great plan. And I think I know just the girl, too. For real, I mean, like, what girl you gonna pick to do?
Welcome back to Kenan and Kel with Adam and Aaron, Season 4. I can't tell y'all how much we appreciate y'all coming down to the show. And by the way, my name is Adam.
And I'm Aaron.
And we are here to talk about The Honeymoon's Over, Season 4, Episode 2 of Kenan and Kel. We are in the end game now.
And I can hear Mr. Softy in the background. So if that's a sign of our coming doom, then yes, it is. Okay, so yeah, Season 4 is just getting started, but we know Kenan and Kel is coming to a close. But in case you're worried about that, don't be worried. We have plenty in store. Adam and I have not talked about what is in store, but we're confident that there's plenty to do.
We've been secretly crafting our own plans that we're going to drop on each other.
Yes, exactly. We're going to throw them together eventually. Adam, I feel like we've been recording this podcast for what? Like literally since the pandemic, right? I think it's been 18 months now.
About so, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the second winter I'm like entering with Kenan and Kel. I feel like I'm preparing for the, like the cold months with a cup of orange soda by my side, where in years past that was not the norm.
I don't know if a warm cup of orange soda is good.
No, a nice warm bubbling cup of orange soda.
I will say, the original plan, I thought we'd be like just about done by now. We took some weeks off. We had a couple months off too.
There were plenty of hiati.
That's the plural for hiatuses.
Hiatus epi. Yes, there's been plenty of hiatus breaks.
Yeah, the first time I ran the numbers, I was like, oh man, we are going to get to the Halloween special, like on Halloween. And now I'm like, oh, we'll maybe get it by next Halloween. Now it'll be in like the spring.
It'll be a nice springtime, what do they call it? Christmas in July, Halloween, and
it is a summer road trip
April.
Episode, so maybe we'll space it out so we get to that point by then.
I'm definitely going to watch it this week anyways.
Oh yeah, tis the season after all.
Tis the season. We're here with Kenan and Kel on stage. We really, if you haven't listened to it yet, we went behind the scenes with our good friend Mary a couple episodes ago, in case you missed it. And every time I see the stage now, it's a little bit different because I'm like, oh, I feel like I know a little bit more about Kenan and Kel after that episode. So here we are in front of the stage.
Yeah, no, I feel like I'm watching it as if I'm watching a live play. Like how they're performing it to this audience.
Yeah, I love the fact that they filmed it in like a day.
Yeah, their final one. Maybe they had like dress rehearsal type ones that they also filmed.
Or like multiple days, I think. I honestly, I don't know what happened.
A couple performances in a row.
Something like that, yeah. But it was a grand finale. Here we go. We got Kenan and Kel on stage, and I love Kenan's outfit. He's got this like this yellow.
His season 4 outfits start to get like indecipherable. Like he's like deep in the turn of the century, turn of the millennial, like fashion.
Yeah, no, it's like the equivalent of Supreme, except like if it was Kenan had his own clothing line. Like he has a K on his like sweatshirt. It's like this yellow and like these random lines and
are that are
black
red
and
black and you know.
Yeah. No, it's wild. Kel just
it's asymmetric.
Yeah, asymmetric. It's unlike anything you've ever seen. I honestly want it very badly.
I love how Kel's bucket hat now has like the flap on it where you put like a license, a fisher's license.
I do like that as well.
Yeah,
my friends had one of those hats with the Velcro on it. I like that.
Oh yeah.
I like those hats. They're cool. Choose whatever logo you want.
So Kenan and Kel have some banter. Kel's dropping like the big words.
Yep, he's like, oh, is this episode going to be blah, blah, blah? I don't have notes this episode, people. I'm flying off the seat of my pants here. I'm going to try to make it funnier than instead of trying to predict what he says after 20 years. It's a terrible method to review. the show.
Kenan says that he's exciting surprises in store. And Kel asks, is that a euphemism to obscure the fact that we're going to get into a lot of trouble?
Right. Which is also a hint to this episode because Kel uses some big words in this episode.
Especially the first scene. He blows me away, honestly.
The whole episode, like that whole first scene blows me away, not just Kel. I can't wait to talk about that. But the episode is very well done. The writing in this episode is pretty great. A couple times where Kel, it was a little bit like trying too much, but I think for the most part this is a great episode. So yeah,
I'm a fan of the writer Wayne Conley, same name as the corporate douche from the last episode.
I like how you like laughed and then said douche. Look, just
well, douche. We try to keep our show Y7, and
Y7. Is that a rating scale?
Yeah, it is.
Oh my god.
Up to 7, like I guess.
We're gonna erase that part then. You should bleep it out. Y7.
So, Wayne Conley was responsible for writing a lot of well-written episodes, including The Raffle, IQ Can Do Better, I'm Gonna Get You, Kenan, this one, and one later this season.
A couple of those episodes, like The Raffle and IQ Can Do Better, those touch on things in culture, like IQ tests. That's something that just kind of exists and people talk about on a normal basis, like IQ. Raffles are everywhere. And then game shows everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I like how he kind of takes these big themes and then puts Kenan and Kel in them.
I feel like he's a well-versed sitcom writer.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he knows the way this formula works, and he knows it inside out.
Right. He's back on stage trying to figure out what this episode's about, and Kenan says he'll give him a hint. So he leans in to whisper something in his ear, and Kel says, I didn't understand anything you said. You just fake whispered.
Yeah, he just went up.
What does he say? Can I have another clue?
Can I have another clue? Yeah.
Yeah, and then Kenan holds up this sign, like this big sign that says yes. And then Kel goes, well, what is it? And Kenan goes, that is the sign. And then this basically like...
come on, Spanky.
Yeah, come on, Spanky. We have to get on with the show because I don't know how much more of this stage stuff we can do. But
yeah, let's get on to the show and talk about this wonderful first scene in the Rockmore household.
In the running for the best scene in Kenan and Kel.
Oh, wow. I've got one of those. I've got a favorite Kenan and Kel moment later this episode.
I'm excited to hear about it. If you know anything about me, you definitely don't know that I am a big fan of funk and disco. And the reason you wouldn't know that is because it's just happened in the past week.
Did you get on Funk Bus?
I have not been on the Funk Bus, but I dream of it. And so Kenan is in the Rockmore's living room, just vibing out to some funk, and he's in his bathrobe, and he has his hair wrapped up.
Yeah, I believe we call this a risky business scene. There's a movie in the 80s called Risky Business. Tom Cruise does this thing when his parents are out of town.
Yes. It's definitely a classic scene. Like, people are gone.
You've seen it on TV, but before. Yeah, I think Doug has one of these moments. And which is very funny because Risky Business is not a kid-friendly film. That's not Y7. Don't let your kids watch Risky Business.
But I mean, Kenan's moves are pretty Y7. I love when he goes over to the stairs and starts to just kind of like I don't know, step and grab the pole. It's kind of funny, and then he comes over to the front. He does like a little like he's off balance, but then he's not. He's got some like chicken arms. Then he's got some like cleaning the floor with his feet, and then he starts to I don't even know, but he's just feeling the music. And then he starts to undo his robe, and he's got like a t-shirt and shorts on underneath. Yep,
and I do. I have felt this way very much as soon as I got my own apartment. It's like just doing this around the place. It feels so amazing. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I can't wait till I could do that.
But unfortunately, he is not all alone because is it 3 women and his mother sneak in behind him.
And they all start dancing along with him. He just can't see them yet because he's faced the other way. But they all start dancing along with him. And then, of course, he eventually sees them and is...
They start clapping.
They start clapping, and he's like, okay. He's like, well, just get on out of here now.
Yeah, no, but they're not getting out of here because it's Cheryl's book club.
Yes. And then Cheryl goes on to explain what a book club is.
Yeah, for all the kids out there.
No, it's a teaching moment. It's like maybe kids are like, hey, I should do that with my friends.
Yeah, actually, I do want to quick advertise that I was on a book club podcast recently.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the episode will be coming out probably within the next week here, but it was for Big Orange Couch, 90s Nickelodeon podcast. We read an Are You Afraid of the Dark book for Podtober, kind of Halloween season.
Oh, cool.
So if you want to learn about the tale of the Shimmering Shell, tune into that episode.
Well, that's very exciting, Adam. Cool. I didn't know that book show podcasts were a thing, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Now, as a book club expert, I'll have to say that it's very weird that they do not have wine. Yeah, they're not all having like glasses of wine. I think that's key for a book club ingredient.
Yeah, well, I think they're just getting cozied up, but
oh, you think it's going to come out later?
I think it's coming out later. Yeah, when the lights go down and the stories come out.
It is. The show is Y7, so
yeah.
They can't be showing all that alcohol.
I just love that terminology. I think that should be like on a T-shirt, like just the Y7 logo. Yeah, I like that a lot. That's not used. You don't see that ever anymore.
You see it every time a TV show turns on.
No, not still.
In the upper left corner.
No.
Watch cable, you'll see Y7, M13.
I know, but you see the other ones, but you hardly ever see a show that's Y7. Maybe that's just because I've gotten older and don't watch those shows anymore.
I think that might be part of it, but I do agree with you. It's similar to the PG, which isn't super common nowadays.
Yeah, it's upscale, right? It's like more PG-13 now.
It's either PG-13 or G. That middle ground is going further away.
Right. We're reading some book about scarlet flowers, red flowers.
It's called Petals of Sorrow. Cheryl and 3 of her friends are there, and who else joins in?
None other but Mr. Kel Kimball.
Yes. And he says hi to all of them. He's like, hey, Madeline, Thelma, how you doing? Nice to see you, Doris.
And he's wearing like a maroon jumpsuit kind of deal. You know, it's like a short sleeve button down and then sweatpants, but it's maroon. It's like the same color kind of as the flower in the book. He's kind of matching the book. And then he has the most ridiculous T-shirt I think I've ever seen.
The baby, right?
It's like a gray baby doll that's like standing up vertically.
It's so weird.
In like overalls. It's the creepiest shirt.
I think I'm just gonna call their fashion like 99. It's so 99 is what this is.
Is it? It's just pain. That shirt is pain.
Yeah.
That shirt is not Y7.
So Kel shows his interest in the meeting by saying that like, I brought my book and I brought my club. And as he says that, he like a clown pulls a golf club out of his pants and starts wailing on the book.
He just he puts the book on the coffee table and he just starts going at it. That is how I have felt after many college classes.
just slamming the book.
I hate this book. So it's already been a whirlwind right here. Like Kenan was dancing, he got walked in on as he was like almost undressing. Book club enters, Kel enters book and club, and then Kenan is just kind of like annoyed. I don't know. Do you think he's annoyed that he wasn't invited? Do you think he's annoyed that they're here?
I think he's more annoyed that he was interrupted. He thought he was going to play the place himself, and he was all like, hanging out. So he's like, going up to his room, and she's like, "Fine, you're not in the club anyway, and neither are you, Kel." To which Kel is like shocked and horrified, and he leaves a scathing review of their book.
He does. Do you have it?
Yes. I found Petals of Sorrow to be amateuresque, the exposition was tedious, and the characters were one-dimensional.
That's a great dig.
Yeah.
Oh, and those characters that they had, they were one-dimensional. Whereas Kenan and Kel are obviously multi-dimensional.
Absolutely. Kenan goes through all 7 stages of grief of losing his living room in his bedroom in this next moment.
And they're all in facial expressions, too.
Oh, yeah. It's been a while since we were in Kenan's bedroom, wasn't it?
It's true, but we go up to Kenan's bedroom, And Kenan goes, man, like a man can't even dance in his own house anymore, or dance naked in his own house.
That's it. And Kel's like, we'll have to dance naked here.
And Kenan is quick to stop him. But then he's like, man, I have no privacy. And Kel goes, oh, sure you have privacy. In this little itty bitty room, you have all to yourself.
Small, itsy bitsy little small room.
Yeah, right.
And Kenan's all like, yeah, my parents are always lurking somewhere nearby.
Oh, God, this is so good.
He opens his closet, and Roger's in there.
And he goes, I'm hiding from your mother. She wanted me to join the book club. Or you know how Roger does it. He goes, she wanted me to join the book club.
Which is very ironic because Roger is currently enjoying a book right now.
Yes, and that book is Kenan's diary. And Kenan's like, stop reading my diary. And he goes, what? But it's so good. Or something like that, right? That must have been so fun to film already. Like, all of this must have been really fun to film. I think that's probably a really good metric for Kenan and Kel, too. Like, are they having fun while making this episode? Because Roger hiding in the closet seems like it was a lot of fun.
I like it when it's Roger versus Cheryl. Those are always fun moments.
Right. They're not serious, but they're still just, like, classic.
So Kenan kind of leaves in a huff, and he goes to a new set to meet a new recurring character.
Oh, this is a recurring character.
He recurs twice. We see half of his appearances.
Okay. We see the once recurring character. His name is Eric, and he is Kenan's cousin who is in college.
Yeah. And this is his, I guess, dorm, apartment?
It's definitely an apartment.
That's how I felt like. It's like, oh, his parents are renting out a place for him to stay near college.
Yeah, most likely. It's a pretty nice place, honestly. Nice size.
Yeah,
I wish somebody could just build like a set that I could live in. You know?
I think this might be the closest that you get to. It's got a kitchen and, you know.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
And it looks super college, which I found funny because, like, 20 years later when I was in college, I'm like, yeah, no, I recognize this.
There's, like, just pictures, like, without frames leaning up against walls. There's, like, crooked posters hung up.
There's clearly a donated couch with, like, just clothing strewn on it.
And then they have this great interaction where, like, Eric says what's up to Kenan, doesn't say what's up to Kel, and Kenan goes, hey, you remember Kel, right? And he goes, how could I forget? And you're just instantly thinking, like, oh, this is, of course, like, they've met before and Kel has ruined the interaction, because that's just what he does.
He says, thanks to you, my dog is still bald.
Hey, that dog was asking to have a haircut.
And Kenan is just gushing about Eric having his own place. And how nice it is, because you can dance naked in your living room and your daddy ain't in the closet.
Eric's confused by that comment, but we move on anyways. Before we go further with the scene, Adam, I just want to say, how coming of age is this episode?
Entirely, very much so. This is,
this is a dream of every, like, young high schooler who is getting like towards the end of their high school years, is thinking about college, and they just get so excited that they're gonna get to live on their own and have their own space.
You feel extremely cramped, like at home. It's like, this is a room I grew up in as a child. I no longer fit here.
Right, you're like I'm so confined, and I can't flap my wings, and I need to be let free. And then
my feet are hanging over the bed.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, by the way, you have to pay for living. You have to pay for the house you live in for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and then you spend the rest of your time at your job to get the money.
To get money so you can pay for the box you live in. That is the most, like, naive coming of age.
We do that for 40 years, and then we die.
What's that from?
SpongeBob.
Yes. Oh man, I feel like SpongeBob just.
When you're a kid, you're a SpongeBob, and then you grow up, you become a Squidward. Yep. Looking back at that.
And you work for a Mr. Krabs.
Yep. Kel is quite twice as excited as Kenan. He realized that, wait, this is all your stuff? You can just break whatever you want, and no one's gonna get mad at you, right?
It's like, yeah, but why would I? And then Kel just starts throwing, like, glassware. He takes the whole dish drying rack and just chucks it.
Yeah, I love how fast Kenan and Eric, like, try and run to stop him. because he just like goes over to the curtain and starts like tearing it down.
And they can't stop him. He's still just breaking things as they're restraining him.
Eventually, they have to stop, and Eric's just like, keep him away from my stuff. And he immediately goes and sits on his bike in the back.
I think my favorite part of this this set is the Nas poster on the fridge.
That's pretty fun.
That is, I would love that right now. Like, I would love to hang that up. That is so just like beautiful.
And I also vibe with Eric, how he's just constantly like, all right, can you guys be quiet? I'm trying to study. Like, that's his MO right now. He's like, I'm studying. You can hang out, but just be quiet.
I'm surprised he let them stay after that debacle.
That's a good point. They must be better cousins than I thought.
I do like, so as Kenan is pulling Kel away, I'm just watching this really closely. I paused really quick, but I can see at one moment Kenan and Kel both like kind of glance. I think they glance to the director.
Oh.
I think that got a little quick like director glance. At least Kenan, like, his eyes fix for like a quarter second. But
well, they're clearly messing around, not getting to what the crux of the scene is.
Right. Kenan's kind of just making sure everything's all right, and then Eric is very firm, and he's like, now just don't, you keep him away from my stuff. Kel goes over and just, he can't really stop himself. Kel is losing it this episode. he's bouncing off the walls. He gets on a bike. Like, Eric's bike is there. I mean, Eric's place is very nice and spacious, but Kel gets on the bike. He starts to like touching stuff on the wall, and
he turns on the TV super loud. So he has to turn it down, and he's excited because a show that he loves is on. The Honeymoon is over.
Yes, so he turns it way, way, way up, and Eric gets mad. He is, how many times do I have to say that I am trying to study? And Kel goes, I don't know, probably 3 more.
So he says it 3 times, then he turns it down. What do you think of Eric?
I don't mind him.
Yeah, he does okay.
Yeah, no, I think he's good. He's good this episode.
Yeah, I think it was dynamite.
He doesn't detract from the scene.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's nice to have like another character. Kenan and Kel don't have many like friends, you know.
No, last season we met Mark, and
I feel like Mark was nepotism. Like that guy was somebody's like, nephew.
No, he was an actor.
Somebody who worked on the show. No, I'm sorry.
Biagio or whatever. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding, Mark. We want you to be on the Kenan and Kel with Adam and Aaron podcast. My friendly banter is just that, friendly.
Mark's played by Biagio Messina.
Ah.
Yeah. And worth mentioning, Eric is played by Mistro Clark, who, I think went on to do some B movies and stuff like that down the line.
Cool. Yeah, no, I like it. I like his character. He does a good job.
Basically, The Honeymoon's Over is what the rest of the episode is going to be about.
Right. So, Adam, describe this show. I think we've seen it on just about every sitcom.
Yes, because it's based off a real game show called The Honeymooners.
So, it's basically there are these couples, and they have to... one of them is given a series of questions, or both of them, before the show, and then the other one during the show has to guess what the partner wrote or what the partner answered, and that's how the more points you have.
Full House has a good episode just like this.
Yep. The more points you have at the end, then you are the winner. This episode it is funny. Like the one that Kel turns on is funny. I forgot the joke that started it off, but it was kind of what's the most attractive part of the female body or something like that, and then the answer was esophagus, and something like that. We're gonna keep it Y7, so let's just move on.
I apologize. It's the Newlywed Game is the name of it.
Okay.
Honeymooners was a sitcom. Yeah, the Newlywed Game. It was very popular, and the Full House episode is what comes to mind.
Yep, definitely.
It's the end of the episode, and they reveal the prize is a brand new house. For the couple that won.
And go figure, right? Kenan is dreaming of having his own place, and then a brand new house.
Yeah.
Right there. It must not be a coincidence.
All he has to do is go on that show and win a house.
Alongside his wife. Eric is like, how are you going to do that show? What are you going to go do? Find a woman and marry her and blah, blah, blah. And then, Kenan goes, I think I know just the woman. Looks at Kel. And you just know where this is going.
Yep. And it goes... the stakes are raised in Season 4. This is some big stuff. You know, we keep saying that, but there's some early stakes in the first season of this show.
I mean, there was millions of dollars on the line, the screwing the tuna.
Yeah, not to mention Kenan's trying to accomplish life goals and doing things the Hemingway.
Right.
They cure the common cold and almost crash a plane.
Yes. They meet the president.
They saved the president's life.
They saved his life.
Yeah, so...
I mean, Kenan and Kel, at this point, they should be like, heroes of Chicago. But they're still just kind of scrounging around. Mm-hmm. Scoundrels. I'm upset that Charla wasn't a part of this episode. You know what I mean? Is Charla in season 4?
She's in a couple episodes.
Yeah, she should be in this one. Kenan should have, fake married her, and it should have been this whole awkward thing.
The show's not called Kenan and Charla.
I understand.
And it's not as funny if Charlotte dresses up like a girl.
You're right. Here we go.
Kenan is dressed up nice. And Kel is wearing an insane outfit. And a giant, Betty Boop wig.
They are basically backstage at this show. Which is funny because the backstage set is definitely just backstage of Kenan and Kel.
Yeah, it's cool when they do that. It's TV production, pull-aways.
Yeah, I like that.
Like how in A Star Is Peeved, the cameras are clearly on set.
I do want to say one thing before we get there, right? So we're in the back of The Honeymoon Is Over, right? They're walking into the production set. But there was already a couple, moments, they cut to the show, and there was couples who were mad at each other, and what they do is they hit each other with pillows. And so then
yes.
Kel, hit Kenan with the pillow a couple times. And so that's, starting in this episode. And so that's just clearly going to be a theme throughout.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Kel's wearing this, crazy wig. This, I want to call it a jumpsuit type thing. A woman's jumpsuit that's black with, green and yellow squares on it.
I like it. I like the outfit, honestly.
And a pink apron that says wife.
Yes, the apron has, frills on it around the edges.
Yeah. And he says, man, these shoes are hurting me. And then Kenan's like, why are you wearing heels? He's like, they go with the outfit.
And Kenan goes, well, you're not wrong. No, take those shoes off. He's mad at himself that he complimented Kel.
There's someone very angry behind the scenes at The Honeymoon's Over. And who is that person?
It's none other than our friendly neighborhood grocer, Chris Potter.
Yes. And the producers are saying to him, Chris, Mr. Potter, we told you last week and the week before that you can't have your mother on the show.
Right, you need to be married to be on the show. And he goes, but Mother and I know more about each other than any of these stupid married people, or something like that. And all the married people look at him.
And he's like, fine, I'll leave. And then he has a real Norman Bates moment where he says, but Mother will not be pleased. Which makes me think that she's going to cast some serious spells on the cast of the Newlyweds.
Yeah, what do you think that was? Maybe she wanted to be on TV so that she could cast a spell, and then every TV that heard the spell would. Would you think that would work? Is that how witchery works?
Witchcraft work? I don't think it works through airwaves and
Why
TV
not?
screens.
It's all about spells and speaking the spells out loud.
I guess that's true. If you think about Halloween 3, the Season of the Witch, it's broadcast through televisions where how kids get enchanted and stuff like that.
Oh. So
it's been explored before in horror.
Oh. I like when I have an idea that's already been had, and I'm like, I'm pretty smart.
Yeah, the Ring, you'll die in 7 days, the videotape that kills you.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Chris walks away and says hi to Kenan and Kel, who are just there. And that's it. It's just a passing hello.
Hi, Kenan. Hi, Kel.
So it's basically Kenan, Kel, and this producer woman. And Kenan sits down, the producer woman sits down, and then Kel is standing there, arms crossed, looking at Kenan and bobbing his head and then you're kind of like, well, what is he doing? And then he's making Kenan get the seat for him.
It's really funny.
Oh my god, it's such a great moment.
We've done this bit before. Remember when they were in the hospital? And
Right.
And Kel was being a pregnant woman. It's a fun archetype. This is old school comedy.
Old school classic comedy, yes.
It happens in Good Burger, so you know it's classic.
Kind of like a gender role of a man opening doors and getting seats for women. but then it's also just like it turns funny when it's expected.
And I will say that I think we've been pushing past that as a society, and like, you know, gender roles are much more flexible nowadays.
Right, but you know, and sometimes even, you know, like people will get, you know, a woman might get mad at you for like holding the door open or something like that. But for the most part, you know, if you hold a door open for somebody or get a seat for somebody, it's still a nice thing to do.
The main thing is to treat people as good as people and be good to them regardless of their gender.
Yes, definitely, absolutely.
Yeah. So, life lesson. And now let's talk about this game show where they like fight each other.
So they're interviewing for this game show, and what are some of the questions that this producer asks Adam?
What are your names, for starters?
It seems like such a simple question that they would have thought about before they showed up.
Yeah, no. Says, and Kel's like, I'm Kel-e, is what Kenan says. Kel-e. And I'm Kenan, and realizing that he doesn't want his real name either. He says, I'm Kenan Rocker Steinbergerson.
And then she says, without skipping a beat, well, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Rocker Steinbergenson.
How did you two meet? And Cal's all, we knew each other since we were little boys.
It's just
every
like,
answer is wrong.
Totally, every answer is wrong. This woman's still intrigued. She's like, okay.
Yeah, girls, boys and girls is what Kenan says. Since he was a girl. His pronoun game is way off.
Oh my god, it's so bad. He would not survive in today's economy.
Kenan Rockmore would get canceled nowadays.
Kenan Rockmore would be canceled. And I love Kel. Kel's like position. His legs are crossed, and his hand is like, you know, on his face, like almost like fanning himself. But anyways, it's just like he's just got great mannerisms.
Her next question is, are you okay with revealing personal details on the show?
Yeah, and then Kel leans in and he says, oh, do you mean like how Kenan has his crush on a girl named Narisha?
And she's like, he's got a crush on another woman? and Kenan's like, how did you know that? And then goes like, I read your diary. You too?
Everybody's reading Kenan's diary. It's great. Why is he keeping a diary? He's like 18.
It's like pink.
At least call it a journal.
Like cursive on the cover.
like, come on, like call it a journal, man.
That's what Doug did. But what do you know what Kenan's other like two secrets are?
I do not.
He's scared of cows, and he practices kissing on his pillow.
Yes, and which that is just beyond what Kenan can handle for his ego. So he grabs a pillow, a pink heart pillow, and starts hitting Kel.
I do want to say that's a weird thing to write about in your diary. I practiced kissing on pillows. Like, I pretended my pillow was Risha, and I planted one on her cheek.
Yeah, that's more so something you would act out than goofy.
But yeah, they start fighting with the pillows, and she's like, save it for the show.
Yeah. And like, wait a second, you mean we're going to be on the show? And she goes, yeah, we love miserable couples. Like, miserable couples make for great TV. They're just like, oh, sweet.
Yeah, Kenan and Kel celebrate real hard, too. They're so happy right now.
Yep, they go for it.
Kel's happy because he's going to be on his favorite show, and Kenan's happy because he's going to get a chance to win a house.
It's just amazing that this scheme has gotten so far, so fast.
Yes, without a hitch.
But
here comes the hitch, though.
But it was believable, honestly. But here is the hitch. What is the hitch, Adam?
As they're leaving, they're like, all right, see you tomorrow. And she says, all right, don't forget to bring your marriage license. And which causes them to pause.
And they're like, wait a second.
Yeah, Kenan's like, what if we brought it after we were in the house, or never?
And she's like, oh, ha, ha, ha.
And she's like, oh, man, you're so funny.
You're going to be great tomorrow, or something like that.
Uh-huh. And Cal's just like, well, guess we're not doing the show.
And Kenan, of course, you know what's going to happen.
He says, we're doing the show.
I mean, they did make it this far.
Yeah, they made this far.
I do want to say, like, before we go any further, every moment of Kenan and Kel in this episode is, like, just fantastic. Like, they move when they move from place to place. Like, Kenan is strutting, Kel is like dancing and jumping. Like, they just got off these chairs, these director chairs, and Kenan like stood on his, and then it fell over, like fell down and hit him. And meanwhile, Kel is just like spinning in circles. So they are full of energy. They're having so much fun, and it just like carries over. Like Kel is just like running really fast. He's dancing with the producer lady. Like they're just doing their thing, and it's just so good. They start waltzing, like fake like dancing, and
Yeah, Kenan insists we're doing the show, and smash cut to where?
court office. What is it called?
Yep, the marriage court.
The marriage court. You know, that one in all the TV shows.
And he says, "Do you take Kelly Kimball to be your wife?"
Do you, Mr.
Rockerstein Bergerson?
Rockerstein Bergenson, take Kelly Kimball to be your wife?
This is where they should have ran into trouble, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure you need to like at least what's like a birth certificate or you need
some form of identification.
Yeah,
definitely like a driver's license would help.
So they don't have anything that proves these like fake identities that they have, but the judge is like right there ready to like give them a marriage license.
And the money to like get the license wasn't that like hard to acquire. Like you gotta pay for that stuff. You gotta pay for that piece of paper. Like we trade paper for paper here. Yeah. Like that's how this country works. We just trade pieces of paper for other pieces of paper, and then we survive.
Yeah, we just say these pieces of paper mean that much money. Everyone believes it.
Yeah. Everybody's like, okay, fine.
Have you got to that chapter of *Sapiens* as well?
Oh yeah. It's just like, oh, this shekel is worth this many doubloons.
Because we all agree that.
Yeah, we all look. Yeah, that part started getting too existential too fast. I was like, I'm not comfortable with this.
That's currently where I'm paused. Yeah,
it's like it's just money, man.
We cut to commercial. We come back, and really good transition here because after the commercial, the judge repeats himself. He's like, "For the 10th time, do you take?"
Yes, he's like during the commercial, he asked 9 more times,
and Kenan is very reluctant, as you can see. He's like, "Are you sure? There's no other way I can get a marriage license." And meanwhile, Eric is in the background, right?
Yes, Eric's in the background with the camera.
And he's losing it.
He's cracking up. Because like what great marriage started with, well, let me just think this over. Yeah, and then finally he goes like, then sure, I do, I guess. And Eric is just like losing it. Like who says, yeah, sure, I guess I do.
Yeah. So then he asks Kel, do you take Kenan to be your lawfully wedded husband? That's when Kel like starts to like admit it. He's like, oh, it's got all hand. We just want to be on the Newlywed Show. But Kenan is real sneaky.
Yeah, he came with provisions. He hands Kel a bottle of orange soda. He says, "Do you love orange soda?" "Ooh, I do. Ooh." And then like cha-ching.
Hey, that's clever.
That's good writing.
That's good writing right there. Kel says "I do" all the time. That's probably what like led to. What if we had an episode where they get married?
A writer's room, and like, how would we do that? How about a Newlywed Show?
Newlywed Show.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, this is a great concept for an episode. Like, if you thought about where we started from how we got, like how we got here, like it's pretty great, honestly.
I think it makes sense. Kenan wanted a car. He wanted a car, and he did whatever he could to get it. Now, 3 seasons later, he wants a house and will do anything to get it.
I wish my students had this much drive and motivation. It's like, even though Kenan's getting in trouble all the time, like at least he has some ambition, you know? Some kids today don't have much ambition.
Yeah, no, he'll do whatever it takes. Eric takes one kind of final picture of the happy couple as they get their license.
Yeah, we use it as a transition to the next scene, and it's just it's a miserable picture.
Yeah, back in his apartment. Kel has just a stack of women's clothing that is revealed to be Kenan's mom's clothing.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Kel's like, "You think this will look all right?" And Kenan goes, "Yeah, fine, whatever." And he goes, "I don't want to look good," or like, "I don't want to look good. I want to look great."
He says, "I'm going on television."
Yeah, and so it's all these like really good. Like Kel's hopped up on newlywed energy, and Kenan is like, "I just got married for utility."
Yeah, he explains it like, as soon as this is over, we're through. We break up. We're getting a divorce. And then Kel's all, "I gave you the best years of my life."
Yeah, he does the same thing he did to Rigby's the other episode.
Yeah,
I gave you the best years of my life. Like that's just, I love that line.
I want to see if this trend continues, because last episode, Kel also says something incredible to Kenan, which is that, hey Kenan, can I have off next Thursday? So, and this one, it's like, hey Kenan, where are we going for our honeymoon?
Yeah, just like really funny, like normal, like questions. Kel is so bought into what they're doing.
Yeah. Eric asked a very good question, which is, what makes you think you guys are going to win?
And then they go on to sit on the couch and they say, well, we know everything about each other.
No one knows each other better than us.
Sorry, I have to point out Kel's shirt. It's a black sweatshirt, except the whole entire front panel of the shirt is just like a BMX rider on a motorcycle with like mountains in the background. It is so awesome. Like, I want that so badly.
Oh man, I'll have to zoom in and get our artist on it.
That is such a great shirt.
Coming soon to Rockmore and Kimball, our T-Public sites.
Oh man, yeah, check it out, people. You don't want to miss it.
Kel guesses Kenan's favorite fruit.
Pineapple. And what is Kel's favorite movie?
Alien Ninjas from Mars Attack Part 3.
They give each other a high five each time, and they're like, yeah, let's go, and they're getting all hyped.
But Eric points out something very strange about this.
Very strange, something that is obviously going to throw off this entire episode. Like, it's so clear that this is what's going to happen. But he goes, well, hey, wait a second. Shouldn't your responses be a little bit more girly?
And then Kenan's like, oh yeah, you're right. You should answer, instead, for movie, it should be something girly, like Tears on My Pillow.
And then Kel and Eric goes like, hey, that movie's not girly. I love that movie.
Yeah, he's like, that's actually my favorite movie.
That's actually my favorite movie. And then Kel goes, man, I love that movie. And he walks over to Eric, and he puts like his arm around him, and he goes like, do you remember when...
He goes over the scene about when Lucinda gave Jacob back the goat. And she said, this goat is a symbol of our love. Take it back. Now the only thing left is for me to cry tears on my pillow. And then they start like weeping together and hugging and having a very romantic moment.
And then Kenan comes over and joins in the hug because he feels left out.
Yeah, it's good energy this episode. Real
good energy, but that is just an awesome Kel scene. Like, that scene is so good.
Are you ready for The Honeymoon's Over?
Let's do it.
This show is hosted by Bob Eubanks. What do you think of this host guy?
He's perfect for this role. He's snarky, annoying, unnecessarily mean.
Bob Eubanks was the host of the Newlywed Show. Yeah, the Newlywed Game.
He was perfect for that role.
Yeah, no, he later in his career went on to like pretend to be the host of Newlywed ripoffs, including this one.
That's just painful. You get a little, $5,000 here, $5,000 there.
Yeah, he seemed to love it, and he's just perfect for it.
Oh, he is the perfect newlywed. Yeah, I feel like on every Newlywed episode, also it's like that like cross checker pattern with the wood.
Yeah.
That white, the
white fences.
Lace fence, whatever it is.
So we have 3 couples here.
The first one's the Hollands, I know that.
Yes, possibly named after Savage Steve Holland.
It's possible.
They're from Florida. They've been together 5 years. It's Steve and Hannah Holland.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's smart. That's a good way to build characters and stories. You just take them from people you know.
The next couple, they've been together 10 years. And it's Jonathan and Jared Green. And finally, couple number 3, they've been married 1 day. It's Kenan and Kel Rocker. How do you pronounce that?
Rockerstein. And then Kenan leans over the edge to look at their name.
He goes, oh, Rockerstein. I don't know.
He doesn't even know his own last name. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this.
I also love how it takes up the entire square. It's got a hyphen in it.
This guy doing the game show is fantastic at it.
He was born to do it, some might say.
I feel like I could be a really good game show host. I feel like that's how I talk in class.
You should have a class as a game show.
I should.
All 3 of them are asked the same question. What thing annoys you the most about your partner? Couple number 1, it's when the husband makes the a weird sound.
Yeah, he goes a little less screechy though. Yeah.
Second couple, the Greens, they get it wrong. He thinks it's when he never showers, but it's really when he burps.
He goes, I never burp. And then we go over to the Rockenstein Bergensteins. Kenan goes, oh well, that's easy. It's when I make a scheme and get us into a lot of trouble. And then Kel-e, of course, has that sign. And then they're like all happy. The middle couple, when they got mad, when they like got it wrong, the woman got very mad at the man and started hitting.
She
him
gets
with the
so
pillow.
mad.
Yeah. I think that's kind of just like the theme of this show. Like, hey, let's get mad when we get a question wrong. Let's get mad when we don't know each other.
Yeah, which is, I think Full House explored it pretty well when they talk about, no, this is an opportunity for me to learn more about you as, a young couple in this game.
Yeah, but this isn't Full House.
No, it's not.
We're here to win a house. We're here to win a house that is empty that we can fill up with stuff we can't afford.
Yeah, Kenan was looking at like a couch like in furniture brochures earlier, and it's like, how are you buying that stuff, Kenan? We have a montage here of various answers and stuff.
Various answers and whatnot. Different hearts placed over different characters at different times, and it's quite a lot of pillow hitting and people being sad and guessing what favorite numbers and
not 7. Yeah, no, that is not his favorite number, I guess.
And then Kenan and Kel-e are of course just laughing at other people when they get things wrong, teaching kids great lessons about being competitive.
Yeah, no, when they get it right too, like Kel is initially like supportive, but then Kenan's like no, and he starts booing.
Yeah, and then when they both get it right, they start dancing, and Kel hits Kenan with the pillow multiple times, and then Kenan starts hitting Kel with the pillow, and yep, it's a good montage.
They hit the host with the pillow. So it's the final round, the final question. It's worth 10 points. The Greens have 60 points, and the Rockerstein Berkesons have 55. So if they get it, they'll win the house. The Hollands are in like dead last with like 10 points or something crazy like that.
Yeah, they are not doing hot. And now, Adam, I remember this scene from my childhood. Absolutely, I remember this scene. This is one of my favorite scenes.
This is one of my favorite scenes of Kenan and Kel as well.
Yes, it's just amazing. The question is, what is your partner's favorite drink?
And Kenan looks up to the heavens, and he...
It's like the skies are opening. Like, oh my god.
His smile grew 3 times that size, and he's like shaking his head back and forth, and he's like, thank you, is what he mouths.
And then he starts like hitting things, and like he's like yelling at the Greens, and he's like climbing over the chair. He's moving around the stage.
I started a Kenan and Kel podcast to talk about this scene. And specifically how this is Kenan's screw in the tuna moment.
Oh, absolutely it is.
This is his time to shine and chew the scenery and explode in the way that Kel did with the screw in the tuna. And he's like, just, he's reiterating and he's like, Kelly's favorite drink. And he's slamming stuff and punching things and shaking hands with the other couples and going up on stage and giving Bob a pat in the back. Can I reiterate one more again?
He goes like, which camera's looking to home? I gotta talk to home.
Yeah. My favorite drink is
orange soda.
So this huge bombastic scene. And then Bob's like, all right, Kel-e, what is your favorite drink? And she flips over a sign, and what does it say?
Root beer. He goes, I'm sorry, Kenan. Root beer.
And Kenan's like, more like, doesn't know what to do.
He's like, ha, ha, ha. His hands are open. He's like, and all the other couples are just like, or the Greens are just like, what?
And Kel explains. He's like, well, you told me to answer all girly. Kel loves orange soda, but Kel-e loves root beer.
Kenan just loses it.
So you went with root beer? And he starts really just haranguing him.
I mean, it is invigoratingly frustrating right here. This is just outrageous that Kel would not put orange soda, but that is what makes it so funny. The Greens win. They chest bump each other, and then they bump butts, and then they just and they get like a giant key, and then Kenan tries to pull it away. But man, what an awesome scene!
Absolutely, I 10 out of 10 scene. It's one of the best. I don't know how people can look at a scene like that and say season 4 is like lost at something. It's like you don't like that wouldn't work as well if it happened in season 2.
Adam, I don't know I don't know how somebody could look at this episode and say that it lost any. Like, this episode is one of the better episodes in the show.
I am with you wholeheartedly. There's a couple like logical fallacies, but beyond that, it's top notch.
But I mean, for what it tried to do, like, I mean, it succeeded. You don't need all the ins and outs and all the like. Well, how did they get an interview to be? It's like you don't need that stuff. This episode is so good because Kenan and Kel are just like their absolute best selves.
They're at the top of their game.
Yes.
I take it you don't have the final scene?
I do not.
They're on stage, and Kenan's like, well, it all worked out in the end, didn't it? And Kel's like, what are you talking about? And Kenan's like, well, yeah, we got the cow off the roof, your eyebrows grew back, and your bones appear to be healed. And then Kel's like, none of that stuff happened. Kenan's like, oh, I'm sorry, I was so excited for next week's episode. Kel, grab a cow, a bone doctor, an eyebrow trimmer, and meet me on the roof. Come on, sailor!
I love that. It just doesn't even address what happened.
Yep, that's a good send off. Yeah, this episode rules.
It's fantastic. I laughed more than I laughed in a little bit watching the show.
It's solid. It's well written. Is the crux of it.
It's very well written, and the characters are well written. It's not just like a good plot. It's a good writing of our characters.
This works because you know everyone so well. You know Chris well.
Yes.
You know his parents, and when you see them do these things, like it's really fun.
Right. Yeah, and even Roger and Cheryl had their moments to shine. Like, no Kyra. We haven't seen her in a while. Or Charla, but we don't see them very much. But it was a great episode.
Aaron, I have to ask real quick, whose fault do you think this episode is? Kenan's or Kel's?
Absolutely, it's Kel's fault. Kenan made it pretty darn far.
Yeah, he was, like, within striking distance of this crazy goal.
He was there.
If this wasn't Kenan or Kel, would it be Eric's fault?
I think it very well could have been Eric's fault. But I don't think. I think something else would have happened.
You think Kel would have messed up in a different way?
Somebody would have gotten too nervous. I don't know. Something would have happened.
Yeah, no. This was Kel's the lose, and he did.
Yep, exactly.
It's such a definitive trait of his. It's so crazy to see him like say no. I like root beer.
Have you ever seen Kel drink root beer? Like, it's just
never.
That's just
not
painful.
On the show.
That's painful.
He liked ham in the first episode.
We know ham, yes.
What a great time. Quick to talk ratings with you.
Sure.
This episode has a 7.5 on IMDb, ranked 35 out of 62, which is
just horrible.
Low, medium, right in the middle. I think that is a crime.
Absolutely.
Aaron, out of 10 bottles of orange soda, how many would you give The Honeymoon Is Over?
Adam, this is one of my favorite episodes. Excellent job by Kim Fields Freeman directing and Wayne Connolly writing. This episode for me gets 9.5. It's fantastic.
I'm matching your score.
Yeah, no, this is a great episode.
The one thing that holds it back is the Eric introduction. He's an okay character. Some of his bits don't fully land.
Right.
It's a little far-fetched for Kenan and Kel. That said, it's all part of the show to make it work out in this hilarious finale.
Exactly.
Real quick before we go, I have a quick email I'd like to read from one of our fantas.
Go ahead.
So we got an email from Steven. It says, "Hey, I'm Steve. I've really been enjoying listening to you guys talk about this show. And I know one of you is over 8 years younger than me. I'm 32. I was watching Good Burger on VHS right when it came out on video, and remember the trailers as well. So interesting to hear someone born the same year talk about it on a podcast. I also really hope that you guys can get in touch with one of those cast members like Dan, Ken, Teal, or Vanessa. That would be awesome if they were a guest. So thank you very much for the message, Steve."
Thank you, Steve.
I thought this would be a good opportunity to clarify that I am 28 years old. 4 years older than Aaron.
I am not 28. I am 24.
Yes. We span the 90s generation.
We span what might be, Adam, I'm theorizing that, being born between, 93 to 99, I think that might be the best years to be born ever.
Well, I don't have any choice in it, so I'm not going to argue with you.
I'm working on a theory of why that's true, but yes, we are very happy to bring different sides of Nickelodeon and our culture and our experiences, childhood, to you all, week in and week out.
Yeah, so If you enjoy the show, send us an email, KenanCalPodcast@gmail.com, or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. There's surprisingly few of them. I know we have way more listeners than we have reviews there, so if you drop us 5 stars, we'd appreciate it, and we'd read it on the show.
That would be a great help, everybody. We will see you next week for our 52nd episode of review episode, that is, where we review Girl Watchers. Eric leaves Kenan and Kel in charge of his girlfriend, who has come to visit when mayhem breaks loose and bad things keep happening to her. So that's pretty ominous for a Halloween episode. So
yeah, good point. Yeah, so tune in to find out.
Until next time, Fantas. Oh, here it goes. I feel like that was like a Santa Claus, like a Santa Claus, spooky Santa. Okay, see you, everybody.
Thank you for listening. You can send us an email at KenanCalPodcast@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at anchor.fm/KenanCalPodcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all at KenanCalPodcast.